Yeah, good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining for today's class. And today we'll be uh, welcome to class 4, that is week 4. And today with us we have a guest speaker. I'm not sure if you remember Andrew, who was our guest speaker from MIT. Just recently we concluded 2 weeks back. And today with us we have Narendra Bhatta, who's actually the attorney of, we have signed up, he's one of our attorney who actually helps us in filing a lot of patents in BMSCE. So I just called him one of the days and he was gracious enough to accept the invitation. And we have with us him, and he has a lot of experience in filing a lot of patents. And any patent he files from his firm, it's a guaranteed kind of success. So I have asked Narendra to actually tell us about more on how startups can actually work with patents and how important for startups is patents and other kinds of IPR. And I hope all of you have actually gone through the material which I've shared, so that it gives you a little bit about what is IPR and how does it work, what are types of IPR. So with this, I welcome Narendra Bhatta, who is from Interlocopia, to please join us and start the session.
Yeah.
So stop sharing the screen so that you can start sharing it.
Okay. Hey, good evening and welcome to all of you. At the outset, let me congratulate a whole lot for choosing this course run by Dr. Abhishek, um, and welcome you in advance to the world of entrepreneurship. Let me forewarn you that this is not an easy journey that you see in front of you, and soon you will find yourself in unknown territories with an expectation of on a need to know a lot many things. Okay, and apart from what is the product that you work on, how do you market it, and then what are the strategies for enabling that product, how do I find customers, how do I build attraction, how do I enhance that. The entire story boils down to like in Big Bang, that initial instant at which all these happened, which is you will realize that in present world, there is a any product that outshines the rest in the market. That product is sure to be an innovative and not run of the mill kind of a product that you see, and only those have a longer lifelines. So if you one another skill that one needs to acquire in the entrepreneurial journey is not just a mere knowledge of IPR, but also further depth into what is the intention with which I need to procure this. Why is it so important for me to run a business? And how is it going to affect the business at the foresight? Okay. So some of these slides here may be repetitive, but just like in law, we say repetition, redundancy is brought in to enforce the thought and seal it permanently in your brain. So if this is going to cause that redundancy, then at the end of the session, you will surely be much more enlightened by uh, the fact of IP. Okay, so without much ado, let me just start on the presentation. All right. So rather than since Dr. Abhishek has already sent you a preliminary material on IP, I thought I should position the title as essential tips for IP acquisition, management, and enforcement, rather than call it as overview. Uh, why this becomes essential? This is the motto
Sir,
with which we hold on. Yeah.
yeah, there's a patch of zoom on your right side and at the bottom. If you can remove that, minimize it, it would be great. We are able to see a couple of patches on the right as well as at the bottom.
Okay. I don't see it on my screen anyway.
Okay.
Just hold on.
While you're sharing, you can just say share PPT alone.
Yeah, I have actually done that alone.
Okay.
All right. Is this better now or?
Yeah, now it's perfect. Yeah, you can make full screen. Yeah, now it's perfect. Thank you.
Okay. So this statement is the pretext or the premise for all IP protection that we seek, which is taken from Manusmriti, which follows as Achoraharyam, Nacharajaharyam, Na Bhratru Bhradyam, Na Bharakari, Vye Krute Vardhate Eva Nityam, Vidhyadanam Sarvadana Pravadanam. The summary of that is given below. It says the only thing that cannot be stolen by thieves nor can be taken away by kings nor divided in any manner is and only which gets enhanced by repeated usage is knowledge. So we all know knowledge is power, knowledge is wealth. We go one step ahead and say it is protected knowledge that is wealth and protected knowledge that is power. All right. So this is one statement taken by an innovating company where it summarizes that where R&D turns money into knowledge, innovation is the process of creating business out of this knowledge. So we will realize how important this concept of knowledge is. It's about finding the best sustainably and commercially viable solutions to the market needs. I think that is also the emphasis in the training EDP program that you are undergoing at the moment. And it involves integration of one's competencies and also integrating other disciplines such as purchasing, engineering, manufacturing, marketing, and sales. So as an entrepreneur, you need to be skilled and adept at not just one instance, but all these put together. Now, if I look at the research life cycle, is as indicated here. First, you have a concept and planning, then which goes into exploring and organizing things. Then you have collection and analysis, outputs that come out of it, then impact and engagement. I think you will learn most of these things as part of your EDP course that you are undergoing right now. But what is the relevance of this IPR to an entrepreneur? So you need to know that each of the registered or unregistered IP has different scopes and values. Okay, copyrights have long but limited validity, say up to 100 years. An IP like trademarks are perpetual. Then patents and designs have limited validity of 20 years and 15 years. Then patent varieties too have a limited validity of 7 to 15 years, depending on what is the kind of plant that you protect. There is something called as a geographical indicator, which is a perpetual thing, doesn't have a time bar on it. What is important is, since there is a definite timeline that is associated with each of these, you need to encash the value of that IP during this term. So how can I go about doing that? Is I can either do a direct sale of goods, I can also resort to a transfer of know-how. Then I can grant a licenses. Licenses can be in terms of exclusive or non-exclusive licenses. Then I can set up joint ventures, and also it becomes useful in case of mergers and acquisitions, and also in FDIs that I attract. So one thing you should also know is when I have an IP, although I procure it as part of my entrepreneurship, it has implications at various levels. At the, in one instance, a lender, banker, or a mortgage person is interested in the IP. If you did not know, once acquired, IP becomes an asset. It is an asset and a property just like any other property that you own, like land, gold, and other things. And this property can be, pledged in a bank and sought loan against it. To give you a very simple example, uh, the erstwhile king of liquor and high spirits, Vijay Mallya, uh, he had a huge tax liability and continues to have that. But the Kingfisher logo, which is there, in one instance, he pledged it to SBI, and which fetched a valuation of about 1,100 crores for that logo. So he could easily clear his debt off by that much amount before SBI. So this is the power of an registered IP. Okay, and then you also have customs officials who are directly involved in this. Why? Because once you have an IP, an indication goes to the custom officials to prevent entry of any such infringing goods into the shores of India. So that becomes another important thing. Then you have HR managers who are interested in the IP. Why? Because once you take in people as resources, you need to also be clear on what is the resource that the manpower brings into the organization. Whether he's been part of another company where he has access to some secret of the other company, which may affect the way your company works. And finally, every buck stops at judge. So when an infringement case is filed, it is the judge who decides. So although you own it, there are so many stakeholders to this. So in an IP journey, the essential part of the journey, if I can segregate it into steps, these are the key steps that are involved. The first is the identification. The second is the ownership. The third is the legal protection that you can have to it. And fourth is the liability assessment of it. Fifth is the recording of those IP. And last but not the least is the valuation of the intellectual property that you own. If you look at identification, this involves assets created by the company. So all registered IP, any potential IP that is there, even includes the staff know-how and the non-disclosures and the confidentiality disclosure agreements that you enter into. And also, privacy to security or security agreements that is required by contract. Then you also need to identify assets acquired through somebody else. If you are in software related inventions, then you will see that GPL under the new license 7 or 8, not all code of GPL is free to use. It is not all open license. A certain code is being made proprietary by them. And in case you use those proprietary code into building of a software, which you intend to package and sell it as part of a product, then you need to pay royalty to those people. So a failure to understand these acquired, expressed or implied licenses can cost the business. So second stage is, once I have identified, I need to ensure what is the right way of protecting that asset that I have identified. Okay, and I go to putting in all my efforts to get the protection of that registered intellectual property. Then once I have it, I also need to repeatedly keep assessing what is the liability that this asset brings on to me. And this is a repeated exercise that one needs to undergo. or if I am acquiring another person's IP into my company, which I will co-package and sell it as part of my product. Then I also need to assess if there are ownership risks and liabilities, then documentation records, key personal liabilities. Loss of a key personal can also be detrimental to one's business. So recording is, just like you have it in ISO, recording becomes key here. And finally, once you want to get more funds or expand and scale, uh, then that stage is called as valuation of the intellectual property, where you start putting a dollar figure to that IP that you own. Okay. So in India, the type of IP.
Yeah, there are those arrow marks which is there that is shading the contents of PPT.
I agree, but I am not. Somebody else is drawing this, not me.
Oh, is it?
Yes.
Okay, because I have disabled the annotation option. I'm not sure why.
Yeah, that is actually, see, right now nothing is happening. But as I start speaking, I think somebody else is doing it. I am unable to understand. Let me see.
Okay, sure. I'll keep on clearing it. I'll figure out how to disable it, but I have not enabled it. I'm not sure how it's working. Yeah, sir. Continue, sir. I'll clear it as and when it comes.
Okay. Thank you so much. So
Yeah.
if you look at the first half of the circle, which is patents, trademark, designs, and copyrights, are called as the classical IPR. And then the remaining part of the circle, where you have GI, ICs, integrated circuit layout, plant variety, and biodiversity, are the new form of IPR, of the modern IPR. So briefly, let us review these various kind of IPs that are there. So when I say trademark, it is a mark capable of being represented graphically and which is capable of distinguishing the goods or services of one person from those of others, and may include shapes of goods, packaging, and combination of colors. So the initial registration is for 10 years, that is granted to you. Registration is mandatory, although the trademark registration is optional. Why it is mandatory? If you want to sue somebody else for infringement of the trademark, then it becomes essential that you own a registration of that. Then the remedies that are there are the passing of action and then trademark dilution. Okay. The primary function of a trademark is to identify the products of the company. So, and how? By identifying origin and source of the quality of the product. It also ensures uniform standards in quality. It effectively provides advertisement of the product and also builds goodwill and image for the product. Okay. So these are the various kinds of trademarks that one can apply for. I mean, you will know a small portion of it called as a word mark or an image mark, but there are also, so this is an image mark, then you have a color mark. So Cadbury used to have monopoly on this, purple color until 2016, where European court quashed the monopoly and said anybody can own. But essentially in India, this brand has been continuously renewing its trademark for the last 104 years. So these kind of structures also can be applied for trademarks. Then holograms are another applicable trademark. Gestures like these also can be registered as a trademark. Then you have taste marks that also apply. Then there are sound marks, which are also called as mojos or musical logos. And you have a whole lot of companies like HDFC Bank, ICICI, Britannia. All of these apply their jingles and have registered as a trademark for those. You also have smell marks like, the dough that smells like fruit. It can also be registered as a trademark. Then the shape of the bottle, shape of an object, shape of a structure is also a registered trademark. In India, right now, one major landmark, that is the Taj Hotel in Mumbai, that has been given a trademark registration for the shape. Then you also have what is called as a texture mark that you can obtain for. So why do you need to get a trademark done when you are looking to register, run a company? Because please remember, trademark registration supersedes all other registrations. And why? Because you can, even if you want to start a company, the first thing that the registrar of company does is verify your name with the trademark database to find out if such name already exists or is registered or applied for in the trademark. If so, that name will not be allotted for you for the company. Just like anticipative parents start collecting names for babies. Even before you start off your company, it is prudent to choose the name, select it, protect it, because then that also rules the domain name registration. That also rules, because if you have a domain name, if you have a trademark, then anybody else who takes a domain for that essential same name or similar sounding name will be liable for infringement. There are plenty of cases where such things have happened. So it is good to have, if you have a name, and more arbitrary, fanciful the name is, the more valuation the mark fetches for you. Okay, and once you have a registered trademark and you have a portfolio of products, each having its own mark, you can start accounting for each of these products and then accordingly amortize them, meaning to say which should be depreciated, which value should be appreciated, and accordingly enhance the budget for promotion of that product. So in that way, it is essential to have a trademark. Registered trademark can be assigned, transfer, or mortgage. I already gave you an example of how Vijay Mallya was able to get value by mortgaging the trademark. So another registration that is there, which is unique in India, is this protection of semiconductor circuits. Under the Semiconductor Act that was passed in 2000, the layout design can be registered if they are original, if they are inherently distinctive, which is capable of being distinguishable from any other registered layout design. And one other criteria is it should not be commercially exploited for more than 2 years before the date of application of registration. If it is done, then it becomes anticipation and registration cannot be allowed. Now, patent of all the IP has acquired center stage because of the valuation that the patent fetches to us. Okay, patents are generally granted for inventions. It was initial act, although 1970 becomes the primary act. You should all know that the concept of patents in India per se existed even before the first war of independence started in India. So it is that older regime. And you should also know this for a fact that Sir M. Visvesvaraya, who was pioneer engineer and a visionary, had in fact got a patent for the sluice gate way back in 1904, and that was under the British colony system. So that document is not available within the Indian patent database as of now. So the term of a patent is for 20 years. Post amendment in 2005, now one can obtain a patent for both product and process. It is not that it was not available for processes earlier. When I say product patent, it is specifically with respect to the chemical substances or drugs that the product patent was introduced. Earlier to that, only a process patent was being granted for drug molecules. So criteria for patentability is, this is called as a celibacy test. It's acronymed as NUNS. So where it stands, NUN stands for novelty, utility, non-obviousness, and statutory subject matter. So we'll quickly see what each of these mean. Novelty means any single document that is published anywhere in the world essentially destroys the ability for you to get a patent in India. So utility is not a question. It is also called as industrial applicability. I am sure we can all establish one form or the other applicability for the inventions that we come up with. It is the inventive step that is the critical one, and plays a very, very crucial role, not just in India, but across the world. In fact, most of the cases are being fought world over as we speak on the basis of inventive step. What inventive step means is uh, the invention that you come up with must have a technical advantage or an economic significance or a combination of these, with at least one feature that is not obvious to a person skilled in the art. Okay, an entire session can be handled only on discussing the inventive step concept. So, if and when such timeline comes in and there is an opportunity, I will definitely be happy to share um, a lot of case studies on these things. And in India, we don't answer what is patentable. The answer is always in the negative. We have a negative list that is published under the Patents Act under Section 3, which says if your invention falls under these categories, then you cannot get a patent for those kind of subject matter. So now, when I need to protect, I need to understand what is prior art. So one common experience I will tell you, since most of you would transform yourself, in some time from now into an entrepreneur and start your journey. Um, Problem solving is always been serendipitous rather than intentional. Okay. So where you have a definite idea of the problem that you are solving, their prior art is already established for you. Where it is serendipitous, you need to start hunting for what would constitute a prior art now that you have an invention inside. Okay, that is something that you need to engage a person who is experienced and has skill in these kind of things right from the concept stage in your company, so that these people guide you, advise you, and take you forward in that direction of finding out what is good, what is not bad with respect to the product that you are developing. In fact, from our organization, we do help many startups in mentoring them on IP aspects. So prior art generally means a body of knowledge that is already known. So how do I, in terms of patent, anything that is published, any product that is existing before the filing date of the patent application, which resembles the same or a similar concept, is not allowed. You cannot take a patent for it. So if I, in crude terms, if I can Google and get an hint on what your invention is, then you cannot patent it. As simple as that. For any publication in any form qualifies as a prior art. In fact, we have had instances where people from other regions of the world have reached out to us to pick out a PhD thesis from a medical college or an engineering college, in Karnataka, because an abstract that is published from that thesis has possible likelihood of infringing or anticipating the invention. So they want to be sure before they go ahead and file whether I can be steer cleared of a possible infringement suit, or is there a liability for me to apply for a patent. So when I say prior art, there are two types: patent literature and non-patent literature. Patent literature, before you file for a patent, you should look at the databases that is available from all different regions of the world. If something is not in English, then you need to have a translated document of that and then search in that. Ensure that when you file, there is nothing that is sitting on your subject matter which has the likelihood of destroying the possibility of getting a patent for you. So earlier, other offices followed relative novelty. That is why I have stressed this, that Indian Patent Office follows absolute novelty. Even America now, after the new America Invents Act, follows this rule. That means any patent that is granted anywhere else in the world destroys the ability for you to get a patent in your country. You should remember each of the IP that I talked about and one which we are discussing now, these rights are strictly jurisdictional. That means if I have a patent granted in India, if I have a trademark granted in India, it is only valid for enforcement within the territory of India. Beyond that, it doesn't have any significance. What it can do, essentially destroy the ability for somebody else to get a patent because you already established novelty. But it does not prevent them from making and selling it there. So if you need to get a production, you need to go in all those countries of your interest and get take a production. All right. So tips is, once you have a concept in mind, it is always prudent to do a preliminary search. I have given some indicative websites. Of course, there are plenty others, and there are also some subscription databases where you pay fees and then access. There you can do a lot more analytics on those sites. Once you do this, you will have a clarity on how good your invention is. And having said this, this is an attitude that you need to build if you are innovating and building and focusing on product development. Although there are attorneys like us who will later on evaluate the patentability, as an inventor, it is always better to know where I stand before I go and talk to an attorney. Okay. Then there are various kinds of searching and reporting that is possible, and each depends on what is the scope and intent with which I am getting it done. So patentability search simply would mean an eligibility to file a patent. Landscaping is done to assess the technology space in which I am operating. The freedom to operate is done for commercial exploitation without a patent infringement that is in respect of a portfolio of patents that exist in a jurisdiction. Then there is also invalidity search. That is, I look at how to invalidate another patent so that I can operate freely. You should know that patents can be offensive or defensive. So I heard one, it was Edison who said patent is licensed to a lawsuit, but that is being followed very strictly in many companies. In fact, I heard it from one of the attorneys at LG. He is in charge of one division of LG, where that division holds about 700 patents. Now his business is to he runs a team of 10 people who are qualified in electronics and electrical engineering and those kind of technology areas, where their idea is to see whom do I sue this day. So they are continuously looking out for people who are infringing on those portfolios. Earlier, patent is a means to do business, then patent itself becomes a business at a later stage. Or you can also release white papers, or also file a patent application, allow it to publish and then abandon. So such kind of strategy is called as defensive patenting strategy. So these are the types of patent that I can apply for in the journey. So you should remember, it is financially very intense. A patent grant in at least 3 countries could cost you anywhere in the brand of, this is a very minimal ballpark that I am indicating. It can be more, but definitely not less. So it can be in the range of $25,000 to $30,000. So a patent prudency that you should remember is, even a loud whisper is considered a sin in the world of patents. So even before you discuss it to the best of your friends, you should if you are thinking about filing a patent, you should file first and then talk. And you should also go ahead and commercialize it locally. Once you show a traction, I think these are business acumen, which I think you will be trained for in the course that is likely to follow. Find an investor or an assignee, and then the smart guy is one who transfers or licenses it to people and makes money out of it. So designs include 3D features such as shape of a product, 2D features such as ornamentation, patterns, lines, or colors of product, and a combination of any of these. So these are some of the examples of a design registration that is possible. Okay, the condition is it should be new or original. not disclosed in public earlier. It should be distinguishable from other designs. It does not contain any scandalous or obscene matter, and it should not be contrary to public order or morality. So once you ensure this, I think it does. So if, especially in the product space, if you are there, then it is better if you find that the design of the product is very unique and increases or enhances its sellability, then you need to protect this as well. Okay, so these are the offices where design can be filed. It is the best and easiest to get registration for. You can essentially obtain a design registration in less than 3 months to 3 to 5 months. And once it is there, it is granted for 10 years and then renewable for a subsequent period of 5 years. All right, I think that completes my time. So I will leave the floor now for any questions that you would like to ask me. Yeah, over to you, Dr. Abhishek.
Yeah, thank you, sir, for telling really very well about entire aspects of IPR and various types of IPRs. So now, without any further delay, I want to open up for questions. If you guys have any questions, please let us know. And while you type the questions on the chat window, please go ahead and type your questions on chat window. So while you go and tell us about, if you have any questions, you can type. So BMSC has this unique feature, unlike any other colleges. We actually fund the entire patent expenses from college in case any one of you have really innovative idea which you come up out of this course or otherwise as well. So we'll be happy to help you out, to guide to the attorney, as well as help you out in finding few things, as well as filing entire expenses will be borne by BMSC. So do we have any questions from any of you? So we have 300 students here, and there are another 50 students in the other Zoom who are also watching this.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't see any other questions, but I'm sure they'll come up with a lot of questions. So we also have our learning management system where we have a discussion forum. There they'll be coming up with questions as well. So I'll direct you to the questions a little later once I get the questions. And I'm really sorry for the inconvenience caused, but fortunately I have this professional version of Zoom. So I'll get to know after we end this session who has actually done all those arrow marks and things like that.
Correct.
So I'll take care of them. I'm really sorry for the inconvenience.
No problem. I think, with more technology adaptness that we show, we are always reminded that there is so much to learn. And this in fact was a first experience even for me. And it was nice to see and go ahead and troubleshoot later on as to what would be the source of this thing that happened. But anyway, I hope that the fantastic evening time that you spent here, all of you, did have some improvement in your skill as you go back to your respective places. And if it has impacted you in any way, it is fantastic. If it has caused much more confusion, welcome to the club, because confusion is the first step towards success. So sorry, anyway, Dr. Abhishek is there. Any questions that you have? He will share.
One question, if you can answer before you leave, is that one student who's asking, is it necessary to have patent for every product in a company in case of multiple products or multiple innovations?
So Ritu, thank you for asking that question. See, what generally is prudent to do if you have many inventions that are there, we need to see what is called as a portfolio of patent, which I told you. And in that portfolio, you should design a core patent, which will cover most of the crucial things that you intend to protect. And over that, build multiple layers, which are called as child patents. And each protecting a particular aspect of that core. Then what happens is you can start giving off individual bit of these as licenses. So you will be making more money, and it is also clever because you don't put all the eggs in one basket. There is a scope for connecting many aspects into one application and filing. It is not advisable because once during prosecution, if some of these concepts are rejected by the patent offices, then essentially you are giving those concepts on a platter to a competitor company. Because once it is lost, you cannot enforce it, and others are free to practice and make this product and sell. So what you do, you identify the core invention, and then whatever you build onto that core, you start applying for child patents and create a family of patents that you own. So that is a good strategy to have. I hope I have answered you.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Thanks for joining us in this time of the evening and really giving us insight of patent and different kinds of IPRs, basically. Thanks a lot, and I'm sure the students will have questions. We'll get back to you after the class sometime tomorrow or day after.
Sure. Thank you. Pleasure is mine as well. Have a fantastic evening ahead.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Bye.
Yeah, bye.